Welcome to the Red Eye Perspective. I'm your host, Mohammad Al-Wishahi. Hi folks, it's Mohammad Al-Wishahi again from Red Eye Perspective, and a new episode today and a new topic, very fresh. This topic is going to sound a little odd for most people because it is unique. Today, I'm going to talk about how did it feel and seem to be an Arab Muslim immigrant working inside the CIA as an officer. It's an idea of a book that I'm working on, by the way, and plenty of thoughts and ideas, and plenty of folks are encouraging me to do that. So I thought I'd give it a shot first by putting out this first episode, which, if it goes well, then we'll probably put out more episodes to discuss this very, very important and interesting topic. So, how does it feel to be an American, an Arab, a Muslim, working inside the CIA? If you were to ask me a number of years ago that would I ever consider or even thought about working inside an intelligence agency, my answer would have been absolutely not. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. It wasn't something that crossed my mind. But here's my story. My story began in the early 90s, and I was scanning for a job, a better job. I did have a job in New York City, but I was looking for better ones. During that time, I was just looking for a place where I could use all my skills and get paid a bit more and give me more opportunities, like room for growth, etc. I found an ad in New York Times and I answered it. And of course, I didn't know who put the ad out, only to discover on the day of the interview, when I was invited to an interview in a hotel in New York City, that the people who put the ad were none other than the CIA. And it was shocking. It was funny in a way because I, nervously smiled when I was told the people in the room were the CIA. And from that moment on, it sort of opened a gateway for my mind to say, okay, why not? Why wouldn't I consider this? And that's how this whole entire story started. From there, of course, there is, bureaucratic processing and security processing that takes quite a bit of time. And finally, I joined and I am inside. And I discovered right there and then that, well, I wasn't alone. Apparently, it was a very unique need that the United States government at large, but especially the CIA, was beginning to consider recruiting and hiring people of all kinds of ethnicities and backgrounds and languages. And that is something, of course, the CIA would consider probably one of their good traits, that they always try to open opportunities for people from different diverse backgrounds. So for me, I was literally the little child walking into this behemoth machinery. I was as naive as can be. I didn't know what to expect. It was in a way an adventure, but trust me when I tell you, I was very nervous. It was kind of scary at the beginning because, again, I just didn't know what to expect. And of course, as an immigrant, you're always insecure about being accepted. You're always thinking, would they like me? Would they accept me? Would my language skills be enough? Although I was told from the beginning that my English was good enough and better than many others that they have seen. But nonetheless, in my head, I was still very insecure. I was just wondering if this is going to work out. And of course, it's part of the work that they don't divulge everything to you from day one. Because even though they might run sort of background investigation about you, they still want to test you on the job during the training. They want to evaluate you. They want to see your abilities to handle certain conditions, situations, etc. Of course, stress is a huge factor. It's a very stressful job, but they want to see how people react to that. So part of this suspense is that they don't tell you everything. So for me, I was already nervous about multiple things in my head. Now I am nervous about the actual work itself. Mind you, I did not save a moment to ask questions, and most of my questions were answered, especially when I started actually in the place of the training first. But some of the questions, they would look at me and say, in time we'll divulge this, or we'll tell you more about this. The details are not clear yet. We'll see about that. So for me, it was very, very nerve-wracking experience. I was nervous. I was naive. I didn't know enough. I was literally like blind person inside of like ginormous factory with so many potential dangerous machinery. I was just literally feeling my way in that space. But what was comforting a little bit is some of the colleagues I met at that time, they also experienced similar things. So I heard from them that what they felt. So we had a bit of a common feeling, a common thought that crossed our minds of what is next? What are we going to do exactly? Where is this going to take us? So with all these feelings and concerns and anxieties put together, you still have to do your job, perform, train well, learn well. And trust me, they don't joke about training. It's taken extremely serious. And you're evaluated every step of the way. And I mean it, every step of the way. Could be your very own colleague who's sitting next to you. Actually, his job or her job is to evaluate you, and vice versa. Let alone the many instructors and all that, and the actual performance itself. So you are being evaluated every step of the way. And by the way, that never ends. Never ever does it end. Even when I became an officer, even when I became a senior, still, this constant, non-stop evaluation goes on all the time. And there's nobody who can consider him or herself to be invincible or untouchable. There is no such thing. The motto is like not what you did for me throughout the years, it's what you did for me today. What have you done today? So you could have been a good performer before, but because your skills deteriorated lately, that's what you are being judged on all the time. So with all these things in the back of my mind, I'm always analyzing, I'm always looking at things from the perspective of a new immigrant, an Arab, and a Muslim. Mind you, I wasn't really practicing, it's just the idea that I grew up as a Muslim. Whatever is being said to me is being analyzed in my head through those prisms. And I remember a dear colleague one time, he asked me a question which at the time I found to be strange a little bit. He said, Mohammed, so just curious, when you dream, do you dream in Arabic or English? And I said, why? And his explanation made sense. He said, apparently, according to the scholars who study human habits, when you are in a foreign place and you are learning or trying to assimilate into a new culture or a new language, it takes a number of years until that new place, new language, new culture begins to seep into your mind, into your brain. And once you start dreaming in that language, that means your mind is beginning to assimilate. So the beginnings were rough, scary, and paranoid. I was always on the lookout for things that somebody may say to me that were not respectful. And there were a few of those, and we'll talk about them in the future episodes. And was on the lookout also for discrimination, because that also existed, and I did experience that throughout the years. Again, this is not just a one-sided story. I will tell you all the goods and the bads that I've experienced throughout my career in future episodes. This is just a preview, an overview of the beginning, when I started in the agency as completely a new person, as we say in our security jargon, is coming from the white condition into this intelligence agency, one of the biggest in the world, and you're trying to absorb so much, and you're trying to conform so much, but you're also paranoid and insecure about so much. With all of these mix of feelings and all that stuff, I kicked off my career in the CIA in the early 90s, and it's been such an interesting ride. And just a very quick preview for the next episode, I'm going to tell you more about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The really, really amazing people I encountered, and there are so many of them, and the very small minority of a few people who were not really that nice, and the opportunities. Unbelievable opportunities were opened for me. And again, as one of my bosses, very kind man, told me, Mohammed, you are the victim of your own success. So if you are successful, you will be given opportunities, no doubt. And with that, if you have any questions, any remarks, any comments, I would welcome them, and I will try to answer them as much as I can. I thank you for taking the time. This is Mohammad Al-Washahi from Red Eye Perspective, and this episode was about the Arab Muslim guy working inside the CIA, episode 1. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to the Red Eye Perspective. For more information on training courses, consulting services, and speaking events, please visit redeyeconsultant.com.